Hi everybody, I'm here with Deborah Harper from Coldwell Banker Realty. As we know, one of the things that we absolutely love is trying to educate consumers as much as we possibly can and give them great advice and kind of help them navigate through what's happening today in the real estate market. Deborah is a top producer and a fantastic partner of ours. One of the hardest working people I think I've met, but is really good at boundaries, and I'm horrible at that. I'm getting better. We had lunch today and we actually talked about that. So I'm getting better at it.
We're always a work in progress.
Always a work in progress, that's exactly right. We want to come together and just kind of talk a little about the market and just update people and educate people the best we possibly can.
Excited to do so.
Okay, good. Thanks for coming in. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start by just talking about the market in general. What are you seeing out there? What's the current landscape of real estate look like in the market right now? And kind of fill us in on what's happening out there.
Okay, so what I see for myself and some of the colleagues that I trust in to have conversations with, I definitely see a shift in the market a little bit, right? Because interest rates going up definitely rules some people out of the market right now.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean for always. We've seen inventory go up. Attached homes have doubled since January, which is almost laughable to me.
Right.
Because when you say the number of units available is twice as much as it was in January, we went from having 400 attached homes to having, as we speak today, 810 attached homes for a community of 3.4 million people. That's all of San Diego County.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
Right.
When you consider that in May, we sold 985 attached units. So we basically have a 1 month supply of inventory. Same thing with detached homes. We came into January with under 1,400 units. We now have 2,200 units. Last month, we sold 1,982 units. So again, a 1 month supply of inventory. So I think that the media plays into people getting the wrong idea about, the market shifting substantially. It's not shifting substantially. Instead of getting 14 offers on a home as a listing agent, I might be getting 4 or 5, but all I can do is sell the house to one person.
Yeah, and to put that in perspective, if I put out something to the media saying, oh my gosh, listings have doubled in the last 90 days, it sounds like it's really bad, right? But let's put it in perspective, because really, what is a normal market if it's we'll say an even market, not a buyer's, not a seller's market, but what even market, how would you come up with what is kind of typical or normal in an even market?
In my 18 years of experience in this industry, normal is described as 5 to 6 months worth of inventory.
Okay.
It used to be very, very normal to take 3 or 4 months to sell a house. It was very abnormal in 2008, 9, and 10 when it was taking 12 and 18 and 24 months to sell a house. People should not be freaking out if it takes 30 days to sell a home. The consumer thinks, oh my gosh, it's been on the market 2 weeks, what's wrong with it? A normal market is 4 to 6 months worth of inventory, and we're a long way off from that.
Yeah, so if you're selling 2,000 homes, about 1,900 homes, right? 5 months is 10,000.
10,000 units.
Yeah, that's a lot.
We're a long way from that.
We're a long ways from that. So when you think about pricing and you think about appreciation, when you think about, that aspect of it, where do you think we're going to go from here?
Well, I just, interestingly enough, for a newsletter that I do for my clients, I studied what's happened since January, and we've seen price increases of 18 to 22% every month, year over year. And the median price has gone up. Let's just talk detached homes alone. The median price is $980,000 for a home here in San Diego County, $670,000 for an attached unit. I think that we're probably going to go through summer, right? Because summer is a buying time of the year.
Yeah.
We're going to see prices, I think, if we have this conversation 3 months from now, we're going to see price increases in June, in July, in August. I think eventually as we move towards fourth quarter and maybe into the first part of 2023, maybe we see some softening and some flattening, but I do not see price decreases. I'm saying to my buyers, if you wait for a year to buy a home, I'm not going to swear by it, but I could almost assure you you're going to pay more a year from now than you will right now.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think one of the biggest issues that we're seeing is that whole supply thing, right? We're talking about how many listings are coming on, what's more of a normal market. And it comes from a couple different places, right? It comes from builders, which they can't build enough homes,
No.
right? There's really not a lot of places to build left in San Diego, and they're still building. There's developments, but supply chain issues is causing some issues there too, right? Getting the actual stuff to finish homes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, then you think about, foreclosures, which I don't personally see those.
No, I have not seen those.
Right, because when you think about foreclosures, the reason people would foreclose on a property is because they couldn't afford their payment, right? And they're either upside down and they gotta sell, right? The thought behind that is we have more equity than we probably ever had.
People have so much equity in
Right.
their homes right now, it's insane.
Yeah, and rents are going up astronomically, right? To where if you bought a home 2 or 3 years ago and have the equity in the home, like, would you sell your home and then go rent?
Absolutely.
That doesn't make sense.
Would you give up a home and a tax write-off so that you could trade it for the same payment, potentially more, to live in a house that you don't control the colors of the walls,
Right.
what's done in the backyard, and to have the option to have somebody tell you that they're serving you a notice to evict. As a homeowner, you don't get that if you're making your payments.
Yeah, or your rent going up another 10 or 15%.
Absolutely.
Right? And then forbearance, right? That was something the government came out with a couple years ago that really helped us kind of stabilize a little
Yes.
bit to allow people not to make their payments, but there's no hidden inventory there either. So then it comes down to, okay, the only place that we see that from is just listings from people, having to sell their home and the need to buy the next home.
Right. We're either expanding our family or we're downsizing
Yeah.
because we're empty nesters or we're potentially leaving the area. When I really dig deep into some of the newer listings that have hit the market in the past 30 to 45 days, I'm seeing tenant occupied, I'm seeing vacant, I'm seeing non-owner occupied. So I think there's investor homeowners out
Yeah.
there who have said, interest rates are rising. Maybe I better, they may not have been in a position to sell this house had rates remained the same, but I think they're putting it on the market maybe out of fear a little bit.
Okay.
Would those homes have come on the market had the interest rates not gone up?
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't have, right? Because they expected a lot more appreciation. And,
Yep.
and if you're watching this and you didn't buy a year ago or you tried to buy a year ago, something that we talked about today at lunch was just, man, we're going to have some really good opportunities in the next year to be able to get into homes that people probably couldn't have done a year ago
No doubt.
because they just didn't have the money to do it, right? I mean, the market was in a situation that if you're overbidding a home and you're not using your contingencies correctly and you're spending more on a home that maybe you just don't have, right? A lot of first-time home buyers I work with just don't have an extra $100,000 laying around for fun.
Well, you and I have talked about that, and that's
Yeah.
one of the things I appreciate about you is the way you coach and counsel somebody to, this may not be the right time for you, but let's talk about what the things are for you to do
Yeah.
so that a year from now, if a person's in a position where I don't have to buy right now, and I really shouldn't be buying because I've got $100,000 in debt, why do you want to be out there putting yourself in this little pigeonhole when you take your time, you be patient? Homeownership is a big deal. I always say to people, it's not a pair of shoes that you can take back to Nordstrom's. It is a big deal. It's a big investment. If you have to wait a year to do it and do it right and take care of some financial instability in your world, you've been very good at doing that with clients.
Yeah, so really moving forward, if it makes sense to buy a home,
Yes,
it fits your family,
yes,
financially it's a really great decision,
yes,
do I not do it?
yes, you should,
I
absolutely.
should do it, no matter what.
I think investor clients maybe would look at today's market a little bit differently, but I think if you're a young couple out there getting started, you
Sure.
find the home that you like, it meets your financial budget, I think you should buy the home. I'm encouraging the buyers that I'm working with, I don't want you to buy a home that you kind of sort of like. I don't want you to buy a home that means you have to stop buying some of your favorite groceries, but if it makes financial sense and you find that home and your offer can be considered without you doing silly things, I absolutely think you should move forward.
Yeah, and all the new stuff we're seeing or hearing about being in a bubble, what do you think about that? You think we're in
no
some type of bubble?
No,
Yeah.
no bubbles.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think it's really difficult to kind of think that we're in a situation that all of a sudden something's going to bring the market down. I think part of that is because people look back to 2008, right? It's the most recent, closest thing that people remember. But people have to remember it was a mortgage meltdown, not really a real estate
absolutely.
problem.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, we were doing some really bad loans. We just should not have been doing things that didn't make any sense fiscally, but we could do them and we did them.
Well, one of the things that I think makes San Diego unique to the market is that we have people who buy homes here as second homes. we have people who, we have this influx and outflux of our military base, right? We've got Navy people coming in and out. We've got Marines coming in and out. To me, San Diego is always going to be an attractive market. And what happened in 2008, 9, and 10 very much was a result of the mortgage meltdown. It's just not even the same story going on right now.
Yeah, when I look back at that time frame, something I always look at is, man, think about the options people had, right? When you have a property that you did the wrong loan, right? Your mortgage payment's going to double. Rent is cheaper, and you have no home equity.
Absolutely.
And it's all of that is completely reversed in what we're going through right now for qualification purposes and all of that. So I think it's extremely valuable to kind of recognize that. You brought up military, which I think right now is a really good time.
I couldn't agree with you more.
For veterans to get into homes, because a year ago or 2 years ago, right or wrong, wasn't our choice, but a lot of people wouldn't accept offers on VA loans, right? Like, did you battle that as well?
I did.
Yeah.
I did, but I also think if I'm representing a buyer, it's my responsibility, one of my biggest responsibilities, to not all listing agents understand. If you don't work with veteran buyers, you don't understand, listen, money is money.
Yeah.
Whether you're getting a 100% loan or you're getting cash, as long as you can close the deal in 21 to 30 days, I mean, that's a fair mortgage time.
Yeah.
So to me, when I'm representing a buyer, one of my biggest responsibilities to do is to educate the other side about the power of the lender I'm working with and their ability to close it. When I represent a seller, and I've received 12 offers and 4 of them are VA buyers, it's my responsibility, if one of those best offers comes from a veteran and it's better than the cash guy, you know, if you have a veteran who's willing to spend 40 grand more than the guy who's cash and can close in 14 days, I always say to my clients, are you willing to wait for 16 days for another 40,000? Absolutely you are. So it's an education process to me.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes you different the most, right? When you think about working with a pro and you think about the value of a realtor, right? They can be so valuable to every transaction. And I think people kind of lose that thought. And the reason I say that is as a buyer, you don't pay a realtor, right? The listing agent pays the realtor when you buy, but people forget how much money a realtor can cost you through the process because they're just not a pro. Right? If they make a mistake in a transaction, they make a mistake on the contract, they make a mistake in negotiating for repair. Like, there's so much stuff that can go wrong that it really helps to work with a pro like you that really knows what to do in certain situations because you've been there. You said 18 years you've been in this business.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, you've run across things that a lot of people have never run across before, so you know how to handle it.
Yeah,
so
we buy and sell houses often throughout the course of the year.
Yeah.
As a consumer, and listen, people have done FSBOs and done them successfully, and people have represented themselves and bought properties off market. But to your point, how much money gets left on the table?
Yeah.
What didn't you ask for that you could have asked for?
Yeah, and I think having a pulse on the market is really important too.
I agree.
Right. I work with a lot of people that are buying and they've chosen their realtor, and it definitely is a different feel. So you're one of the best, and you know, if you could give anybody advice that's watching this as far as how to choose a realtor or how to work through that, what would you say are a couple things that you go, okay, these are things that people should understand a little bit more and maybe questions they should be asking, or how do they kind of pick and choose?
Boy, that question can be answered differently whether you're buying or whether you're, as a listing agent. So to me, when you're working with a buyer's agent, you need to have somebody who understands the neighborhood that you're working in.
Okay.
And running comps is one thing, but really digging into the comps is another thing. And encouraging people to write an offer that is a sensible offer, not that I'm not afraid to write offers, not contingent on an appraisal, if I know I can back up the appraisal price, and I can only know that if I dig into the comps. And for the past year, I've been volunteering myself as the buyer's agent, because when I ask a listing agent, are you going to meet the appraiser, and they tell me no, that is an immediate sign to me that I am going to meet the appraiser there, because I don't want my buyer to have to come to the table with cash.
Sure.
The other thing I think that is important is so many people are buying homes, not so many people, a good number of people are waiving a repair request or waiving contingencies based on inspections, and roofs are expensive. I mean, you have to replace a $40,000 roof, right? Or you have to replace an HVAC system, or somebody didn't really check out the solar panels. I think it's one thing to write an offer and to pitch that offer to a listing agent. It's another thing to get into contract and make sure that this home, it's an investment and it's a home.
Sure.
Once it closes, you can't give it back.
Yeah, you
so
own it.
I want people making sound, concrete decisions, just not wanting to get a house so bad. It's like, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? And then regretting it down the road. Because I'm a relationships gal, just like you're a relationships guy.
Yeah.
And I always say to my clients, when you see me in a restaurant 6 months from now or 12 months from now, I want you to want to see me, not go, oh my God, there's the lady who XYZ.
Yeah. Yeah, now that's with buyers. What about sellers?
As a listing agent, I always share, I'm sharing with the clients that I'm talking to today that anybody can take amazing pictures. Not everybody is. Oh my gosh, by the way.
I've seen phone pictures.
Oh, yeah, which just because you can doesn't mean you should. I think even in this market, a 1 month inventory market, you need to have a professional photographer.
Mm-hmm.
You need to still do videos. I'm not seeing videos on things. It's one thing to market a home and get it into the MLS. It's another thing to represent the seller through the negotiations. I always say to my sellers, I am looking for a perfect trifecta when we go into escrow. I want the buyer to be well qualified. I want the buyer to be working with a lender who knows what they're doing and can close the deal.
Sure.
Who is actually going to answer my call when I call them. And I want to be working with a realtor who understands what they're doing, who understands the contract. So if I get 12 offers as a listing agent and 4 of them weren't even filled out correctly, this agent is showing me who they are and how they show up. So that day that I'm reviewing 12 offers or 4 offers or even 3 offers, my biggest responsibility is to vet who we're going to finally open escrow with. Working through I always tell my my clients, I'm going to show up for the buyer's home inspection. It's important for me to be there, to hear what the inspector has to say, not just to receive a repair request when I wasn't physically present. And oftentimes, Jeremy, by being present at the buyer's home inspection, when the guy can't get the HVAC to work and I just make a simple phone call to my clients, we can solve the problem before it becomes a written diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's also important for me to show up for the appraisal. I mean, I'm shocked by the number of times an appraiser will say to me, oh, wow, this is a great portfolio that you put together, thank you. Or, I haven't had a listing agent meet me at the appraisal in months. So it's
crazy.
It's one thing to get into escrow, and I think last year, 42% of all escrows that opened didn't close. It's important to close the deal as it is to open it.
Yeah, and a good example of this is the most recent escrow we closed together. You know, Deborah fought for 6 days worth of interest. No, I'm sorry, 3 days worth of interest. So we were told by the escrow company that we had to sign documents, you know, on a Friday, or I'm sorry, we had to fund on a Friday, but we couldn't record until Monday. Now we know that wasn't true, but escrow, because they were out of Orange County, different area, they felt that was the best way to handle it. And Deborah fought for those 3 days, which is not insignificant. You know, it's $70 or $80 times 3 days, right? It's not something that we do. So I can tell you that her eye for detail is something unique, because most people wouldn't even have caught that, wouldn't even have mentioned it, wouldn't even have, you know, thought it was important. But it was important to you. It was important to your clients, and it's something.
Well, it's the whole concept of like, I own the home and I can't move
Yeah.
into it, right? It's like, who wants to buy a brand new car and then you can't drive it off the lot for 3 days?
I mean, I love doing that. No, I don't. But I mean, yes, I agree with you 100%. So just as an idea, I mean, it's something that the little things sometimes matter the most.
They matter a lot.
And you are so great at catching them.
Thank you, as are you. That's why I like to partner with you.
Thank you. Well, thanks for joining us today. Hopefully, if you have any questions, we'll put a whole bunch of contact information down below for Deborah as far as how to reach out to her. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. And just know that we're here to serve your families, and we want to make sure that if you have any questions, concerns, or just need advice, don't hesitate, call us, because we're not here to sell you, we're here to serve you. And if you keep that in mind, we can help you grow wealth and do all kinds of fun things to serve your family. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, bye.